What do you think of being Big 12 Coach of the Year from AP?
Yeah, Brian just told me that a couple minutes ago, and it's nice. Certainly, I understand it. All that is a reflection of having a good team and the guys winning, and certainly nobody's had better players than we've had. So, but it is nice. Certainly appreciate it.
What do you appreciate most about this year's team?
I would say, I would probably never give my teams that much credit for being pretty tough, but I think they're pretty tough in crucial situations. I think that they usually, not always, usually rise to the level of what needs to be done at that particular moment, and they like each other. I'm proud of the fact that they seem to be very unselfish and care more about their teammates than they appear to care about themselves. And a lot of cliches that go along with that, but I do believe that holds true with this team.
Bill, you haven't lost since you gathered your 4 starters together. I just wondered what made you think of doing that at that time, right before the Kentucky game, where you gathered the 4 guys together.
Was that when I don't even know. Is that when we did it?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. We were just struggling. We were laboring, and I really didn't know what direction we needed to go as far as who would be our 5th starter. To me, starting's overrated. It's more important who finishes than who starts. And we were in a situation that Landon was basically finishing majority of the games, but not playing as much throughout the game, and the guys felt more comfortable. Not taking anything away from anybody else, but they said, "Coach, this gives us the best chance. We all feel this gives us the best chance." And they had input on what we did next, and certainly it's paid off. They were right. I wish everybody could play equal minutes and all those things, but especially when you have as much balance as we have inside. But our team certainly has performed better with Landon being in the starting lineup.
Is that kind of a scary deal as a coach? Because, I mean, you're kind of giving up control there. You're saying, hey, you guys kind of tell me.
Well, I think coaches are really good at giving up control, and then if they don't like the answers that they get, they take control back. So I think that's kind of how it works. I think I wanted them. I thought it was more important for them to take ownership than it was for me to basically give the appearance because of being in control over that one situation. Because as a staff, it varied every day. It varied every day. He's better this situation. He's better in that situation. I mean, and it's hard to, in basketball, I think it's hard to go through a season, and we tried to do it, but go through a season where, hey, scouting report may depend on who plays and that kind of stuff. And so I wanted the guys to take ownership, and I thought if they took ownership over what they said, then they would have more of a responsibility to make sure it worked out.
Looking back, do you think that was kind of a turning point where everybody could kind of fill in their roles after that? You know what I mean?
I don't know if that moment was a turning point, but I do think for the betterment of our team, I think inserting Landon and having him in the lineup and letting him play more and play through mistakes and those sorts of things when really basically no big guy had that opportunity yet. I do think that was a turning point for our team.
The big goals are the Big 12 regular season title and the NCAA tournament ultimate. But a lot of teams don't have a ton at stake in this, but it seems like teams compete really hard anyway. Is that just the environment or being close to the big dance, or what is it?
I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think it's got to be, and I've heard other people say it's got to be as good a postseason conference tournament as there is in the country. I think the competitive nature of it, everybody wants to show that they're the best. I think that drives it. I also think the fact that, at least in our situation, it's been this way for a while. Even when we tie with the conference championship, whether it be K-State or Texas or whoever, we've always said, well, now we'll go to the tournament and figure out who the best team is. And I always think our guys got motivation from that. And lastly, I think there's motivation to validate what's already transpired. To put an exclamation point on what's already transpired. So I think that that's important. But is it as important as the following week? No. Will we play injured guys to try to win? Absolutely not. But it is something that our guys will take seriously and know how important it is. We've left over there early enough times to know that it's a lot more fun playing than it is to not play. And I think it's certainly, you know, if you get to the finals, then you got to win. You know, if you don't get to the finals and win, you're almost better off not getting to the finals, get an extra day of rest. So if you get to the finals, you got to win, and we didn't do that last year. So it is important, but by no means will I take away anything. I will not take away the importance of it to our team, but deep down in my core, I know it's not as important as being prepared to play the next week.
Well, you talked just a second ago about like your pieces fitting together really well, guys are unselfish. I know the answer is both, but in general, do teams like that do better in the postseason, or teams with like a star or 2 stars?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I've always thought that when things went bad in a postseason, it's nice to have one guy that can kind of carry you through it. Unfortunately for us, we haven't had that the last couple of years. You know, we like Wiggs was our leading scorer as a freshman, and he gets 2 against Stanford, I think. And last year, you know, Perry's our leading scorer, and he's half of himself because of injury. I think that when you look back at teams over time, you need to have somebody that can carry you. We were one of the few teams in 08 that hasn't been like that. You know, Kentucky last year was one of the few teams that, you know, although they didn't win, it was one of the few teams that hasn't been like that. But historically, you know, whether it be Wisconsin last year when Decker got on a roll, you know, Kaminsky was great the whole year, but Decker got on a roll. I think you got to have good enough players where 1 or 2 guys can carry us, and that's one thing that I feel optimistic about is I think we've had 4 different players that can carry us. And play as well as anybody in that game on that particular night. Whereas, you know, some teams, like if you look at Michigan State or if you look at OU or some of the other, North Carolina, you know, you got that bona fide Bryce Johnson or Buddy Hield or Denzel or Iowa State with George. You got some guys that, you know, if they're on top of their game, that one guy is good enough to get you through to the next round. With us, I feel like that some with Perry, but I also feel like if Perry's not his best, and those other 3 can carry us. So I don't know what the answer is, but since we are the way we are, I'm going to say the way we do it is by far the best way going into the tournament.
Seems like Devontae's kind of developing a knack for making big plays and making big shots down the stretch. I know there was a point earlier in the season when you said maybe he had a little trouble. He wanted to defer to some of those older guys. Is he maybe getting a little bit more confident in that?
Oh, yeah, there's no deferring with him. No, he's confident. I mean, he's had some great games for us, but I really think the OU game down there, that gave him confidence to know that he doesn't need to hunt it, but if it comes to him, he needs to take it, and he's certainly done that.
How optimistic are you in that this team is healthier than your last few teams entering the postseason? Oh no,
we're definitely healthier. I mean, you look at last year, Perry. You know, we didn't tell everybody, but Perry wasn't even close to being himself, and you look at a year before we didn't have Cliff last year. So there's our 2 starting 4. That's our starting 4 and 5 last year. That, you know, we probably got 25% combined of what we were capable of, and the year before, you know, we didn't have Joel. So that's not making an excuse, because injuries are obviously part of the game, and we probably benefited over time as much as anybody for being, for the most part, healthy. But you know, and there's nothing that can be said that something won't happen this weekend or in practice today or all that stuff. But I do feel good about our health. I think our health gives us confidence going into the tournament. Or the postseason.
You said you dress injured guys. Do you treat healthy guys any different in the tournament? Since like you said, you know that it's not the most important.
Well, I would like to you know, we want to win, but I like to not wear them out. You know, the thing about it is whoever wins, whoever plays Saturday, it doesn't matter if you win or not. Whoever plays Saturday, you're going to be off Sunday, obviously, and when that means you played 3 days in a row or 4 days in a row for some teams, but 3 days in a row, off one day. And that's an emotional day because of selection show and all that stuff, and then be ready to hit it on Monday and leave on Tuesday. So really Monday and Tuesday are only your prep days to get ready for the NCAA tournament, because Wednesday's a screwed up day because of all the media obligations and open practice and that kind of stuff. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised if whoever plays Saturday gives them Sunday and Monday off, and that just gives you one day to basically prepare for the team you're playing, and that doesn't even count in the preparation you got to prepare for the next game. So, I'm not going to say we're going to cut minutes back. I'm not going to say that, but the ideal role, if we could be successful, would be to certainly not tax our guys 100%.
Looking, Bill, looks like maybe even top to bottom. In some years, a lot of teams have a lot to gain or a lot to lose, but maybe not so much for anybody in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I think Tech's in regardless. And I certainly think that the other 6 are safe, and I think seeding, obviously lines could be affected, and maybe ours could be too. This is probably the most confident I've been going into the tournament that if we perform well, then we'll be a 1 seed. I mean, I feel confident about that. And there's been years where I haven't felt that way, and there's been years we won the tournament and we didn't get to be a 1 seed. Or I don't know if you remember when we beat Texas in the tournament the last time. I think the winner of that game would have been a 1 seed. I think there was so much, at stake from that regard. But I don't sense that this time. I sense that we put ourselves in a pretty good position, and I know a lot of things can happen, but going into the tournament, I don't know if we've been on this solid a footing, at least with what I feel our seed will be. Going in.
How important is it to you to be a 1 seed?
It's really not. It's more important matchup. I think going into it than anything else. Being a 1 seed and comes with extra attention, extra scrutiny, extra pressure sometimes than not being a 1 seed. But I don't really think it makes that much difference.
You worried about free throws with your team?
That would be a yes. We went 26 for 50 during one stretch, and you're the stats guy, Jesse, so you should know that. You could probably tell me what percentage we make in the first 4 minutes of a game compared to the second 4 minutes, but we shot them miserably against Texas, and we shot them miserably. We were 1 for 5 the other day, the first half, and shot them miserably against Iowa State. Made some late. Brandon made some late, but we haven't. We got to make them. And you know what? We've been a good free throw shooting team when it counted. We haven't been a very good free throw shooting team, it seems like to me, when it didn't count. So maybe that's a positive sign, but certainly that could bite us, because if you don't make free throws in the postseason, the chances are you advancing against a comparable team is not very good. You don't make them here at home. You got the home crowd. If you don't make them on the road, but you're up 15, you're still safe. But in the tournament, that could be disaster.
Is it sort of like if you go in a putting slump, the more attention you pay to it, it could feed in itself and get worse?
This is coming from a guy that is a 32 handicap that's never had a good run on putting, but so if you have 7 3-putts every 18, then I guess it could kind of get in your head. But I do think that's right, and I won't call attention to it. I'll say something, but not to the point where it's ingrained in our mind that, hey, there's something wrong with us. I won't do that.
I'm down to a 23, by the way.
You are. So 23, I know how that works. That means if you played as well as you could play, you'd shoot 93 at LCC. Right. Which means if you don't play as well as you can play, you can shoot 102 real easy. So it's 106, okay. All right. Which means many 3-putts, I would think.
What do you think of your potential opponents in the first round?
Well, it's going to be K-State or Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State's already beaten us 19. And in the second game, they cut it to 6 late in the game, so we haven't been great against them. K-State's tie game with 12 minutes left at our place, and then it's a 4-point game or 3-point game at their place with 3 minutes left. So it'll be tough game regardless.
Is Frank healthier than he was maybe a month ago?
Maybe. Frank's one of those guys that he won't call attention to anything except the neck. Nick, I don't know if you remember, he called attention to his neck a lot in the course of one game. But he won't call attention to it, and if you ask him, you just soon not ask him. And I'm not one of those guys to ever ask our guys what's wrong, because if you ask them, then you give them the opening to actually tell you. And sometimes I'd rather them think I don't know. So, but he seems fine to me. He seems fine, and he seems to have more energy than what he's had.
He's been on a good run.
He's been on a really good run. He played better the other day than what I probably thought going into the watching the game live. I thought he did a really good job defensively, and he got the ball where he needed to get it. But he's got to look to score. I mean, to me, he's still not looking to shoot the ball from deep as much as he should.
Did you watch the Gulf Coast game?
I watched every possession. Yeah, really happy for Joe. That was one of those games where free throws could have kept him from going to the NCAA tournament, but they overcame it. And of course, the play that freshman made at the end was spectacular, and really happy for Joe.
Can you talk about entering this tournament on quite a run and potentially a 14-game win streak in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I think it's important to have positive momentum going in, but in basketball, you could be a dud and go to the Big 12 tournament and play good there, and you have positive momentum going in. I mean, I don't think it takes that much to turn it. I just know the longer you go with, the longer you can extend your momentum is obviously best for your team, and the shorter you can stop a negative momentum obviously makes it easier and is best for your team. But we if I'm not mistaken, we went over there to the tournament, and Baylor beat us up pretty good in the second round, and that team goes on to the finals. So I don't know if there's a true correlation between the appearance of being hot at the end and actually that extending. I know there's a gift to having teams play their best at this time of year, and hopefully we prepared ourselves to play the best because of some of the success we had. But I don't know that I still don't think we're playing as well as we can play. I think there's a big room for improvement. I think our defense is average at times, and our rebounding's been average at best at times. I think there's so many things we can tighten up. But for the most part, I think every team in the country can say the same thing.
Any thoughts about Tubby getting the coaches award?
Well, he should have got it. I've never been one to give the AP voters too much credit, but they didn't get it right this time either. Tubby should have won this with the AP as well. In my opinion, if I was an AP writer, I would have voted for Tubby, and I would have voted for Hugg second. To be, considering where they were predicted to start the season and where they finished, I think is hard. The thing about it is in basketball is, and I think it's this way in all sports, it's not easy to stay at the top. It's not easy at all. But it's a lot harder to get from here to the top than it is to stay there. And of course, it takes longer to get there. And of course, the slide from the top can happen overnight. But it's a grind to get there. And so for those guys to do what they've done with their programs and to know that this isn't a one-year award, this is a culmination of multiple years, I think speaks volumes of those guys. And happy for Tubby.
Anything else?
Food? Anyone?
Yeah.
Do we have it coming? Because I know that's why the majority of you guys came.
Thanks, Coach.